Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Michael Armstrong podcast show. And this afternoon, I'm joined by KB McIntosh, who's from the Alone on the Couch podcast in the US. Miami, isn't it, KB?
No, it's actually Fremont, California. I'm in the Bay
Okay.
Area.
Okay, Fremont, California. Yeah, must have been someone else I got you mixed up with then. I've been doing a lot of networking with people on Facebook and LinkedIn from all over the world. So, yeah, I must have had you mixed up with someone else. But how are you doing today in Fremont, California?
I'm doing pretty good, Mike. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me on the show. I know you're a busy man, so I
Yes.
appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, I'm very. I used to be very busy before I started podcasting and YouTubing, and now I've added that to the mix of digital marketing and social media and blogging and content and all of the things that I do, online networking.
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
very busy at the moment, but I enjoy it. I love chatting to people.
Oh, same. A man of many hats, and I definitely feel you because I've been in the same boat since starting podcasting myself. So I definitely relate to the journey.
Yeah, good. So, the first place I usually like to start with my guests is how the lockdown has been for them, and also if they've done any sort of pivoting in their business during that time, because of the lockdown. So, how's it been for you?
The lockdown has actually been very fruitful for me. I'm not going to lie. From starting my podcast to actually building a brand for myself, it's been giving me a lot more time to focus on a lot of my more aspirations and goals, such as this podcasting.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So you've added podcasting during the lockdown period to your arsenal.
Yes. So I initially started out during the pandemic, starting out doing vending machines. That was a business venture that I started. Ultimately, was vending machines, and it was since here in California, we have a lot more businesses that are still kind of opening up and drawing in people. It was a good business to start without finding a big hurt from a lot of brick and mortars and things. So it was a very quick upstart with a lot of profit margin at the end. And I just really wanted to pivot that from vending machines to starting my podcast because I have a background in radio and
Okay.
journalism. So it
Yeah.
was right in my wheelhouse. Yes.
Yeah, fair enough. And yeah, the reason I started podcasting during lockdown is because one, I knew people were going to be locked in for a while and were going to be suffering with mental health issues, which I
Yes.
thought a bit of positivity on a podcast would help them through that.
Mhm.
And also I want to become a global speaker. So I thought, well, actually, podcasting is a great platform to put yourself out
Thank
there
you.
globally and just see what comes from it.
How have you been handling the lockdown and what are some things that you've been using to kind of keep your own mental health in check?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not somebody who struggles much with my mental health. I'm a very
Okay.
positive, optimistic, glasses full kind of guy.
Nice.
And the lockdown period has probably been one of the best, most productive periods of my life.
That's good to hear. That's really good to hear.
Yeah, and I'm somebody who I was an award-winning salesperson, an award-winning sales manager. I'm
Oh, wow.
an award-winning marketeer and an award-winning networker. So I'm somebody who
Nice.
believes you get out of life what you put in.
I like that. I'm gonna have to use that, Mike. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna have to use that last part.
Yeah, you take whatever I got to give and use it however you want to.
Right on. Right on. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a reason why I put a lot of content out on the podcast, on social media, on YouTube, and that's because I like to share. So take whatever's mine is yours.
I'm gonna take the good bits, Mike. I'm gonna take the good bits.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so when you're on a mission to become a global speaker like me, you've got to be omnipresent. You've got to be
Right.
literally everywhere.
Right. So how have you been handling the branding aspects of it? Because that's always the part that interests me. I love looking at different podcasts and how they market themselves and what's been some things that have maybe worked for you and what's been some things that have not fared so well or didn't pique your interest to use.
I think I'm too early at the moment to know what hasn't worked. What
Okay.
has
Okay.
worked, obviously, I'm a digital marketing guy. I got a
Nice.
digital marketing agency. So what
Okay.
has worked is I'm 15 years experienced blogger.
Nice.
So transferring from one platform to another was easy because it's a similar strategy. It's just audio instead of text.
Right.
So a lot of my strategies, if you like, for blogging, I've been able to put into podcasting. But what I loved about blogging in comparison to, say, just social media marketing
Hmm.
is that you appeal to the search engines at the same time as appealing to the audience on social media.
Right, right.
And what I used to use my blogs for is to feed my social media.
Okay,
So
okay.
they become like auto scheduling tools. My blog become auto scheduling tools for my social, yeah, which I also could pick up organic traffic from as well.
Nice, nice.
So I'm into efficiency. I used to be a corporate sales director, so I'm into like trying to do as much as you can in the time you have.
Okay, okay.
And so what I like about podcasting is when I started my podcast, I did it because I wanted to become a speaker. And I thought, well, actually, it's a great grounding to actually just get out there and speak and just see what people think of your content. But then I decided actually it was inefficient to just podcast when I could podcast and YouTube at the same time via
Mm,
Zoom. So
nice.
basically, I started doing Zoom calls so I could do podcasting and video at the same time.
Okay,
And then
okay,
I do a lot of online networking. So I've always got to follow up with people.
okay.
So I decided to get them on my podcast, follow up with them, record them for my podcast and my YouTube, and I got three birds, one stone.
I like the way you think, man.
Yeah. So then when I post my content onto my podcast and I post it onto my YouTube channel, I feed from my podcast, I feed three Twitter accounts, a Facebook page and a Facebook account, a LinkedIn account, and my WordPress blog. Yeah. Which then feeds all my other blogs because I have like if something posts on that, then post it on that type system.
Right, right, right.
And then from YouTube, I feed another Twitter account, another Facebook page, a blogger blog, two blogger blogs actually now, and I just set up a third one. I feed a Tumblr blog, a Pinterest account, and a LinkedIn, a different LinkedIn account. Yeah. So from like 130 to 45-minute episode, I can produce about 20, 15, 20 bits of content for different
Nice, nice,
places.
nice. And you really get a lot of exposure from that because that's a lot of branches. That's definitely a lot of branches to get exposure. Have you
Oh,
ever oh, I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, I missed one bit as well. I also put links in to all
Okay.
of the descriptions. So I'm link building at the same time.
Okay. Okay. So do you focus like when it comes to how everything is linked, have you looked into proper SEO management for your keywords for when you're searched or anything like that?
No, I do SEO services. So, I put in lots of keywords. I
Gotcha.
put in
Gotcha.
the reason I blog about, sorry, I podcast. I used to blog about a lot of subject matter.
Right.
And the reason I podcast about a lot of subject matter is because when you put your description into your episode description, of which you get like 3,000
Mhm.
characters, I think, it gives you a lot of ability to write in a lot of content and a lot of keywords. So I got like 100. I probably got 100 or more hashtags that I use for
Right.
different things. And so and I got a lot of range of keywords. So over time, if I keep piling on the content into the search engines, people are going to be
Yeah.
able to I'm going to pop up and find me, with any sort of area of interest or subject matter that I talk about.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Is there any tips that you can give maybe like me as a new podcaster or even some of your listeners who are trying to build a fan base?
Yeah, well, one of the big tips I will give, which is relevant to podcasts, blogs, YouTube, or anything, is that you generally got to do about 10 times more than you think.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Most people operate at about 10%, 10% of where they should be at.
Hmm. So actually just increasing drive and really making yourself a broad range to cast a bigger net is what
Yeah,
I
yeah, because ultimately, people are trying podcasting, YouTubing, blogging, social media. People use it to get an effect.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to get a result, and results as a percentage. Results will always be a percentage of activity.
Hmm.
The more activity you do, the more results you'll get because the result is a percentage. So in
Right.
marketing terms, often people need often to respond to marketing, whatever it may be, marketing a podcast, marketing a YouTube, marketing stuff. unless you've got a real niche audience of people who know you, like you, and trust you, you're going to
Yeah.
get like effects of things like 0.5%, 1%, 5%, 10%.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So if you're marketing to 100 people 100 times, you're going to get a lot more results than if you're marketing to 10 people one time. Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's pure mathematics.
Yeah, it is.
It's probability, percentages, and statistics.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So if you want to be seen and be known and be found by more people, then if you 10x all of your output and 10x all of your regularity, then you're going to get 10 times the results.
True. Very true. Very true.
So, and in order for you to be a success at anything, you need to be looking at levels 10 times more than the average person.
I agree. I definitely agree. I think what you do is very dope with how you have everything daisy chain. I think to the listeners, understanding your actual market base, your clientele is also very important to know who your target audience is. I know listening to you, Mike, you already have an idea who your target marketing audience is, so I don't have to worry about you. Those are really good tips that you've given to me and the listeners.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you've got to have your in any marketing really, again, you've got to have an idea of who you're speaking to, what language are you
Right.
using to attract them, what's the message. And the other thing you need is, if you want to operate at 10 times levels, then you've got to know your subject matter really, really well, because otherwise you're going to run out of content really quickly.
Right. True. Very true. As an experienced marketer, what would you say is like the keynote difference of how, say, for instance, the UK advertises? Right. Thank you, Mike.
Cheers. Right. Have a
Cheers.
good evening. Okay. Oh, what time is it at yours now? About lunchtime, is it?
It's 10:06. It's still breakfast
Oh,
time over
still
here.
breakfast. So you've got a full day. Well, enjoy,
Thank you.
and I'll follow you on socials, and we'll just, next time, in a few months or whatever, I'll ring you back up and we'll do a deep dive on something.
Oh, definitely, for sure. I'd love to be back on, man. Thank you. Thank
Nice,
you.
nice. And like I say, if ever you want any guests, just let me know.
I sure will. I sure will. Thank you so much, Mike.
Nice one. All right. All the best, KB. Cheers. Bye bye.
Cheers.